Okay, I am back, and we're going to go over today's lesson notes. We're basically going to just kind of pick up where we left off yesterday. I'm going to re-show the notes in the warm-up and then add in the additional notes that we didn't get to. So you can title today the exact same as you titled yesterday, unintentional injuries. Look at the board for the date, and we are going to get moving here. All right. So we're still on day 16, unintentional injuries and violence. Our warm-up that we did yesterday was unintentional injuries are the #1 cause of death for young people aged 10 to 21, and they can be prevented. List what you think are the top 3 causes of death for the general population, anyone over 21, and the top 3 leading causes of death for people aged 10 to 21. Okay, so that was our warm-up, and those of you that were in class yesterday, you've already done it. If you missed class yesterday, go ahead and do those now. The top 3 leading causes of death, which we went over yesterday for 10 to 21-year-olds, were unintentional injuries, homicide, and suicide. Homicide, remember, is murder. Okay, so then we went into some notes yesterday after we discussed those things. An unintentional injury is an injury that is not planned. So anything that you did not intend to happen. And we discussed those in pretty good detail yesterday. Number 2, violence is the use of force to injure, damage, or destroy oneself, others, or property. We talked about violence yesterday during class as well, about not letting your ego get in your way and not being too proud to walk away or too proud to get out of a situation that could be very dangerous for you. All right, number 3, positive lifestyle choices. They can reduce your risk of being involved in an unintentional injury or act of violence. So we discussed yesterday a few positive lifestyle choices, such as buckling your seatbelt when you get in the car, wearing your helmet when you ride a bike, leaving situations, having a plan in place with your parents or with a good friend, so that you are able to get out of situations where you're feeling uncomfortable or where things might not be what you thought they were going to be, and there's stuff happening that you don't want to be a part of. Make sure that you know what you're going to say, how you're going to get yourself out of it. It's really important to have that plan in place before you get into a situation and you don't know what to say or how to get out of it. Okay? Other positive lifestyle choices is surrounding yourself with good friends, making sure that you are involved in things that you love, things that you enjoy. The better you feel about yourself, the more confident and the more proud that you are of yourself and your accomplishments, the less likely you'll be to want to prove yourself, or the less likely you'll want to be to participate in a challenge where you could potentially hurt yourself just to show how tough you are, how great you are at something. So surround yourself with those people that make you feel good, involve yourself in those activities that make you happy, and just really embrace who you are, because those are some positive lifestyle choices that will help you avoid making some bad decisions. Okay? So we discussed that a lot yesterday, and those were the notes from yesterday. I'm going to go back to them so that you can pause it and copy them down if you didn't yesterday. Okay, so here are the 3 definitions that we went over yesterday. So you can pause this right here and get those copied down. All right. The leading causes of death for the general population. So that's what we talked about in our warm-up. The 3 leading causes of death, they are drastically different. The first one is heart disease. And heart disease is a disorder that affects the heart's ability to function normally. Heart disease is the #1 cause of death for the general population. As you can see, it's much, much, much different than what unintentional injuries are for the 10 to 21-year-old population. Heart disease is something that with proper diet and exercise can be avoided, but it's also very genetic. So it's not something necessarily that someone has a choice about. Sometimes the heart disease or artery blockage comes just from genetics. So it's not where an unintentional injury is you've made a choice or you decided not to do something or to do something that could have possibly been avoided. This is not that same situation. So as you get older, you start to realize, hey, That's not a very good choice. These things are immature, these things are juvenile, these are not things that are going to help make me be productive in my life and not something I want to be a part of. So those things wipe off the table once you get 21. Those are no longer leading causes of death because you start to really think things through as you get a little bit older, which is why we talk about it, so that you can start to think things through now so that those injuries and those deaths and those things don't happen to you. All right, a little bit more about heart disease. I'm going to show you my computer here. This is an artery, okay? And normal blood in an artery flows right through. So this is what a normal healthy artery would look like, where the blood can just pass right through the artery, no problem, okay? Now, when I was your age, about everyone in my grade was about this, had about this. Some were here, okay? As we move into 2000, 2010, now getting closer to 2020s, kids are less active and eating more fast food. And so their arteries are starting to get clogged with what we call cholesterol. And this is the cholesterol that you see right here. I liken it to like an earwaxy substance, and it just sticks to the side of your arteries. Now, if we were to take a poll of the class, instead of almost everyone being here and maybe one or two people being in this category, when I was in middle school, that's about where we were. Now, as you all are in middle school, most of you, majority of you already have some plaque buildup, with a good number of you, I think it's like 35%, are starting to be here, where you're really getting a blockage in your arteries already at 10, 11, 12 years old. And this comes from being inactive and from eating poor foods, okay? Once this becomes a complete and total blockage and there's no way for the blood to get through to your heart, you start to get into heart disease. And this can absolutely cause a heart attack. What they'll do a lot of times here is they'll do a bypass surgery, and they'll have to kind of cut your artery and bypass it around the blockage so that the blood can continue to flow to your heart. Blood contains oxygen, and without the oxygen getting to your heart can't function properly. So that's when the heart kind of starts to die off, and that's where heart disease comes from. So doctors and surgeons need to figure out a way around that blockage. Yes, diet and yes, exercise can make the cholesterol go away. And before it's completely blocked, you are able to get rid of that cholesterol. And I know you might have seen like Cheerios says it reduces cholesterol. If eaten with a proper diet and with other exercise, yes, it can help lower cholesterol. Anything with a high amount of fiber. So fruits and vegetables, any of those things, because those rougher skins will kind of grab onto that cholesterol and help pull it through your blood vessels so it doesn't stop and stick inside your body, okay? So that is what is happening with heart disease. The same thing happens with a stroke. So I'm going to kind of roll up here and we'll talk about strokes in just a minute. And this is your brain right here. So this is the brain. And what happens is the blockage, that same cholesterol, starts to get in a blockage to a blood vessel that goes into your brain. And then your brain is not getting the oxygen that it needs. This blockage can then also cause a rupture in the artery because there's nowhere for the blood to go. It starts to just have a lot of pressure right there, and the artery can kind of start to bulge and then burst. So you have the blockages and you have the ruptures that can happen inside your brain, and those are what cause a stroke. And those can be hereditary, and they absolutely are not always something that can be fixed through diet and exercise. But diet and exercise are a huge help, huge help in reducing the chances of heart disease and strokes, because you don't want to get those blockages in your arteries if you can avoid it. Okay, strokes are the third leading cause of death, and we'll define those here in a minute. The second leading cause of death was cancer, and we all kind of have an idea of what cancer is. It's a disease in which abnormal cells grow in an uncontrolled manner, and that's what causes the tumors and cysts and other things that will occur when you have cancer. You'll find a lump, or the doctors will notice a mass of some sort when they take an MRI of your body. So that's cancer. And stroke which I just showed you on the screen here, is a condition caused by an interruption of blood flow to any part of the brain. And the interruption obviously comes from the blockage. It can come from a rupture, but that's what a stroke is. So you can pause that and get those two definitions down. And then our wrap-up questions. Say, why do you think unintentional injuries are the leading cause of death among youth? How big of a role do behaviors and choices play in our health? And how can unintentional injuries be prevented? Okay. So after what we talked about yesterday and going through today's video, you should be able to answer our wrap-up questions. And we have a little project that you're going to be working on today as well. I'm going to send this out to you via Google Doc, and that will give you the instructions. And if you want a paper to kind of write your notes down on, I have that as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a short-term and or long-term effects of different activities and how the choices that you make can affect you as you work on your health here. So the directions say, choose one of the following topics, which are listed below. So here are the topics. You can pick short-term or you can pick long-term. You only have to pick one out of the 6 because there's 3 short-term and there's 3 long-term. So you're going to pick one of those, okay? And you're going to create a Google slide presentation with information covering the following areas. You're going to talk about your body, your relationships, your mental health, and your potential. The opening slide must have a slogan about your topic. A slogan can be anything. So different companies have slogans, like Nike's slogan is just do it. McDonald's slogan is ba 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 ba, I'm loving it. So those are slogans. Another slogan that you might see like on the road is like click it or ticket, or drive sober or get pulled over. Those are other slogans. So you're coming up with a slogan that's going to be on your front slide about your topic. Okay. Then you're going to pick one of the topics. You can pick misusing or abusing drugs, being physically inactive, or getting into a physical fight or being violent at the short-term level, or those same 3 at the long-term. So you're just going to pick one. So in this example, the topic I selected was short-term effects of misusing or abusing a drug. So I just picked one, the short-term effect of misusing or abusing a drug. Just the short-term effects. I'm just picking one. I'm going to gather information on the 4 content areas. So I'm going to use Google to gather information on how misusing or abusing a drug can have a short-term effects on my body, how it can have short-term effects on my relationships, short-term effects on my mental health, and short-term effect on my potential. And if you don't know what potential means, Google it. You'll figure it out. Then you'll open a Google Slides and create the presentation using the information you gathered. Create your slogan for your opening slide. When you're finished, share your presentation with me and be prepared to present your slideshow to the class. I'll pick some of the best ones to display or have you present. So this is your first grade of this semester, so you want to make sure it's a good one. I'll give you the time that you need to work on it. You should have time today in class and probably definitely have some time tomorrow in class to work on it. If you have questions, let me know, and I will be around to help you. I do have a sheet, kind of like a graphic where you can write information down if you'd rather write it down rather than type it out, to help you gather your information as you are doing your web research on Google. All right, have a good day, and let me know if you have questions.